is going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk to you about pain, struggle, and company. And it was something I was thinking about as I was waking up this morning. I was thinking to myself, like I was reflecting over like my hardships that I went through in my life. And some of those times I had like a time of isolation. So I find that sometimes when you're going through pain, right, especially if you're an individual who like to give nothing but love and you're very inspiring to others, and you always want to liven the room up and have everybody laugh and make them feel good. When you're going through times, right, you'll find that when you're going through troubling times, you'll find that sometimes people are not around for you. You have to go through this pain by yourself, whether it's a time of isolation as like solo, or it's a time of isolation from like a lot of people where you may only have like your significant other or your kids there or something like that. But it's easy to get into a place where when you start struggling to become bitter, because you may feel like you may start giving your resume out. By doing this, you may start saying like, all this stuff I've done for people, right? All these things I've done for people, I'm always there for them, but who's checking for me? No one's checking for me. I got to go through this by myself. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that today, right? Because what happens is when you're starting to grow and you're starting to elevate yourself, you can find yourself like I went through in times of isolation where it's just me. And I had no one to speak to. I had no one to tell didn't have anybody around me to tell how I was feeling or anything like that. And I felt the same way. I felt like, this is crazy. Like I'm going through this. I'm always there for people. No one's there for me. No one's picking up the phone. No one's returning my calls. No one wants to hear my story, what I'm going through. But the moment I feel good, now they want to be around me and they want to come get some of this light. Now, I'm not trying to say this like in a sense where I'm contradicting myself from some of my other videos. But what I wanted to speak to you about is there's times where I think we're all built a certain way. We're specifically designed for our path. And there's some people who are way stronger than other people, and it doesn't mean they're better than other people. It just means they're strong in other areas. So you may be the person that you are strong and you can carry a lot of weight. You can carry a lot on your shoulders and whatnot. But the moment you start to feel like this is not fair. I'm going through this. I don't even have anybody to talk to. I don't want anybody to do anything for me, but I just want somebody to talk to and let them know how I'm feeling. One, you have God there to let you know that you can speak to and let him know how you're feeling. So with that being said, there's times that I feel, in my opinion, from my experiences, that it's God will have you isolated because he doesn't want you to put that weight on somebody else who can't carry that weight. You may want to put your hardships on somebody else, but they may not be built for that. And in turn, you're gonna you can actually break them because they may feel like, I really love this guy, I really love this person, I really want to be there for them. They're always there for me, but they're giving me so much, I can't bear the weight on my shoulders and still live my life and still go through what I'm going through. So you can break them. So when you find yourself in a time of isolation, right? Like before you start to say it's not fair, always remind yourself that it's worth it, because it's always worth it, especially when you know how far you came with growth. And especially when you can say to yourself, well, I am looking to go higher. I am looking to elevate myself. And that time may be present on you. It may have presented itself to you. You may be right in front of the door, but in order for you to open the door, you got to go through a couple of things to actually have the strength to open that door and have the strength to remain strong as you go through it and as you go to the next door and so on and so forth. But like I said, it's, when you deal with that, when you're going through the times of struggle, it's easy to become bitter at other individuals. And then we'll say things like this: well, nobody looked out for me, so I'm not going to look out for them. I'm done with those people now. Since they wanted to help me when I was down, since they didn't want to help me when I was down, I'm not going to rock with them anymore. I'm going to unfollow them on social media and or block them, whatever it is you do. You develop that bitterness in your heart. God may have you to yourself right now. He may have you isolated so you can actually gain more strength. But while you're gaining your strength, always remember that that person next to you may not be as strong as you. They may not be able to carry I don't want to say burden, but they may not be able to carry that hardship, even you just verbally telling them. Even if you just want to tell them your story and you say, I don't want you to say anything, you don't have to try to cheer me up. I just want to tell you what I'm going through or let you know what I'm going through. That may be a little bit too much for them. So understand that. So don't let that get you bitter, because when you get back into the world, they may be relying on you. They may be relying on your strength to actually get them through. So you may find yourself saying, why do I always have to go through this? Whenever I'm going through something, no one wants to hear it. But when they're going through it, for some reason, you always find yourself wanting to hear it. Well, that's just the type of person that you are. If you're a helpful individual, you're always going to want to help people. But the moment you start saying things like, well, you weren't there for me before, so I'm not going to be there for you now, you're not fulfilling your purpose. You're not standing firm in your job description as your heavenly job description. Whatever that job description is, you always want to make sure you do it to the best of your ability. And a lot of times that we find ourselves in these positions, we have to remind ourselves that we can be doing a thankless job. There's not a lot of people who will thank you for the things that you're doing. So understand that as you're going into it, understand you may not get the praises and the thank yous that you want to hear, but you may see the results. Always. You may always see these results when you're there for people, and they may come back and tell you, like, you know what, it's because of you why I'm here right now. Like, you're always encouraging, you always help me to want to be the better person. I mean, the best version of myself, excuse me. And that can mean, for me, when I hear it, that means a lot to me. It means so much to me that I was able to help somebody with with my words and stuff like that, and spending some time with them. But it is very unfair to the next individual to say that I'm going to cut you off because you were not there for me, when we fail to realize that sometimes they cannot be able to bear the weight that we can bear. So when you're going through struggles, let's avoid the bitterness and just understand that, they may not be able to bear that weight of what I can bear. You may be able to bench 250. They could probably only bench 50. Does it mean they're less of a person? No. You have to make sure that you're there and you're doing your job the best that you can do, and you're doing it to the best of your ability. So when we talk about, like I said, keep in mind that when the struggle comes, sometimes if you're not aware, the bitterness can be right behind it, and then you start to cut people off who you actually need in your life. There's nothing wrong with cutting off negativity and toxic things and people in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't cut people off because of you're bitter, because you can grow bitter, because that feeling remains, that thing remains in your heart. And now when you go meet other people, you'll start to get this thing where I only want to help people who can help me. You get that type of arrogance, and I don't mean like, you should want to be around people who can help you, whatnot, but that's not the only reason you should want to be around them, because that's like saying I'm not going to help a homeless man because he can't help me. Like, no, I'm going to help the people I like to help people who can't help themselves. In return, there's people who can help me that may see what I do and like what I do, and like, I want to help you grow this thing or do better or go further, whatever the case may be. So, let's be aware if we have a little bit of bitterness in our heart, in our soul, from going through our struggle. If God has you alone, I guarantee you it's for a reason. Maybe, like I said, you don't want to infect other people with what you're going through, because you'll be able to snap back out of it just like that. When things start going good, you'll be good. You'll be smiling, in a good mood. But, they may not be able to come back from that. Like what they call in the acting world, like character residue. They may not be able to come back from what you put on them. They may be stuck in that, and you kind of force them back into a life where they came out of, and now they're stuck there, and you constantly have to, give them those speeches and try to get them out of that dirt. But you don't want to. I never want to put somebody in a bad place. So sometimes it's better to keep those things and understand that I have to keep my story to myself right now, just at this moment right now, because when the time comes, I'll be able to tell my struggles to people and inspire them with it, and not crush them with it. So when people hear a bad story, especially when you're going through it, they can feel like, man, this is some depressing stuff. Like, it's just a little too much for me right now. But after you come out of it and you're telling people your story, that same story, they can say, you know what? If that guy went through all of that, that person went through all of that, and they were able to rise above, I can rise above. So, make sure that your struggle is inspiring and not like crushing people, and not like bringing people back to the life that which they came out of or whatnot. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about that, about the, the bitterness, the character, and the struggle and stuff like that. I thank you guys for listening. And if this video was for you, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to hit the bell and also make sure to hit subscribe. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there. Later.